Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Orvwo with a new Call of Duty Warzone series that we're starting up. I have, for pretty much my entire career on YouTube, if you call it a career, I have always tried to take the approach of helping people to get better at whatever video game we're currently playing. And that's what I like to do. It's just kind of my style and things. Warzone is what I've been playing now since it's come out. I've played a ton of it, love it, and I really just enjoy trying to help people get better. So, with that being said, there are tons of channels out there right now. Iceman Isaac, JGod, True Game Data, Exclusive Ace, Drifter, all these guys that put out incredible content to help you get better at Warzone or Call of Duty in general, honestly. But a lot of times, and I do very much encourage you to check all of those channels out, especially JGod. You get tons of info, just anything you could think of, he's already on it. But a lot of the times when you're looking at videos and you're watching these streamers or people play, a lot of it is catered to people that are already to a certain level of skill. And so I thought I would go here and start a new series since we have the new map coming out soon, bunch of new updates, a lot of new content coming, and make a series for the absolute beginner to Warzone. Or if even not beginner, maybe you've played a bunch but you're really struggling to get better. Honestly, I think points of this series, people of any skill level can probably learn from, but I really think the people that are going to get the most benefit are going to be players with around a 1 KD or under, or new players to the game. We're going to cover everything in this series. It's going to be multi-videos. I'll have them spaced out maybe weekly or so. We'll see how that goes. But we're going to start absolutely from scratch on this one. We'll cover everything in other videos, like how to pick what sensitivity you need, how to improve your aim, how to push certain buildings. We'll go through the entire game, everything you can think of from the ground up. But on this video in particular, we are going to start right from scratch just with settings. And I'm going to go through every setting that we have control over, and we're going to work from that and see how things go. Hopefully, if you enjoy the video, then this will take off, and we'll have quite a few more of them. As always, you can catch more Call of Duty videos here on this channel, and if you want to, I do stream on Twitch pretty regularly. You can check that out as well if you want. Other than that, let's get right into the video and get started here. Okay, all right, so we're going to get right into the options here, and if you see me looking over here, this is my screen's over here, my camera's over there, so sorry about that. This I'm going to be doing on PC, so if you're on console, you're not going to have access to a lot of these options, but some of them you still will. Hopefully we can still get you helped out as much as possible. The main drawback to console is that some of these options are just not there. So there are some advantages to playing with PC, which I finally switched to, and honestly, I gotta say, the difference when you're in game, pretty substantial. Anyways, let's just get started. We're on general right now. From here, depending on what you play with, that doesn't really matter. Whichever one you play with is what you use. Field of view, and again, on a lot of these settings, a lot of these are gonna be a personal preference type thing. So like field of view, I run 110. I've heard a lot of people run 110. You can play with it anywhere. What works best for you is what's best, honestly. So you may need to play with this a bit. 110 at the moment, I haven't played around much higher than this, but around 110 seems to give me the best field of view where I can see, but I'm not overwhelmed. And I really kind of like how this feels at the moment. I do know Z-Laner, which you've probably seen play, was on 110 for a long time. He's played around a little bit recently on full field of view, 125 I think it is, and liked it. I don't know if he stayed there or not, or it's 120, sorry. Anyways, but there's different settings. Essentially, each field of view is just going to show you more of the map, more on your screen. So you're going to need to play with that, see what works best for you. I think 110 is a very good starting point if you are switching to PC or new. Brightness, don't let them trick you with this needing to be barely visible. We want to put this on 65. We want to be able to see things in the game. On a single player game, campaign, those type of things, feel free to turn this to where it's darker. but when you're in a battle royale and you need to actually see rose skins that don't show up anyways, this will help you a little bit. So this, your HUD bounds. If you're playing on a smaller monitor, this doesn't matter an enormous amount, but if you do have a ultra widescreen or just a larger TV or monitor, if you have the ability to change this, it just brings in your ammo, your mini map, all that stuff. You can scoot it in closer to the center, so you're not having to look way off to the side or up to see different things that you're looking for on your screen, which can make a big difference. You'll see a lot of streamers look like they're looking way off, and some of it is for like a second monitor, but a lot of times they're playing very close to their screen and they're having to look up to see, you know, different features on their screen there. So you can bring that in. Again, personal preference. I'm on just a 27-inch monitor, so I leave mine kind of where it is. Skip introduction movie, definitely enable that. We don't need to watch any of that stuff. Colorblind type is your next big one. And again, these other things you can just put wherever you want. Colorblind type, play with this as much as you want as well. Deuteranopia seems to be the one that works best for me for being able to see, along with some other settings that I'll show you. You can play around with this however you want. This one always seemed way too green for me. But anyways, you can play with this however you like. With it disabled, the colors just seem more bland. They don't tend to pop as much. I feel like I can pick out things a little better with this. I should also say, on a lot of the settings I'm about to show you, this is not set to be the best looking game. I have this set hopefully to get a steady frames per second and to be able to see people and see things happening on the map the easiest. If I wanted my game to look better, I would just run this all on as high as possible and just go from there. Again, story mode, those type of things, run it full blast. But for Battle Royale, when you're trying to fight and you need things to happen quickly, we want to set some of this stuff lower. Colorblind target, we want that on both. Minimap shape. If you have not switched this to square, do it now. Again, this is a tip that came out almost as soon as the game came out. But again, if you are new or haven't checked, you get so much more real estate on your map when it is square. You kind of look, all of this here is gone on the rounded map. So you can see cars in the distance, you can see people, you can see so much more when this map is square. Change it right now. Guarantee it'll work better for you. It doesn't cover up enough for it to ever matter. It's always going to help you to have this on square. I like to run mine minimap rotation on enabled. That's just personal preference. And I like letters on here so you can see west, north. I think that helps on your callouts. Content filters, none of this should really matter. Definitely enable your gore. You need gore. And then all of this stuff is just your counters for up here for your frames per second. That's all just PC stuff. Not going to affect your gameplay. Just set it for whatever you want to see. All right, now we move on to the graphics. This stuff is the part where it's going to matter a little more. Full screen borderless. That's what I like to run here. Render resolution, of course, you want to put it at 100. You can drop that down to get better frames, but again, that's just kind of wherever you want to. For me, this is kind of my healthy medium where I still get a good looking game and still get solid frames, usually around 100. I could get more than that if I set some of this a little lower, but I kind of like where that look is anyways for when I stream. Aspect ratio, we want automatic. Sync every frame, we want disabled. Custom frame rate, I want unlimited. This is another one where you can play with it a bit and you can set some custom frame rates where, like, say you're getting 100 pretty regular or 150 pretty regularly, you can set it to like 160 right above that and kind of just level it off. You can also set your menu frame rates low so you're not burning up your graphics while you're sitting on unimportant menus, things like that. But for me, I just put it on unlimited. It's been working pretty well for me as such. We'll scroll down a little bit here. NVIDIA highlights, we want to disable that for the most part. I'm guessing anybody that's doing any work on here streaming wise is probably recording some other way. So we don't really want this using up power to create highlights when we're already recording. You can, if you for some reason would like that, but you can have it. It's just going to take up more power. Reflex low latency, we want this on enabled. You'll have to look around and play. If your computer is CPU bound, then you want to run it on plus boost. But you more than likely, if you have anything relatively recent, you're not going to be CPU bound. So we want to put that on enabled. That should help more. Display gamma, we want 2.2 sRGB. Streaming quality, we want normal. Texture resolution, normal. Texture filter, anisotropic, whatever that is, low. Particle quality, high. Bullet impacts and sprays, we want enabled. Tessellation, we want disabled. On-demand texture streaming, we want enabled. Your daily download limit, this does not matter. You can put that wherever you want. Just leave it alone for the most part. It's not going to affect your gameplay. Shadow map resolution, we want low. Cache spot shadows, disabled. Cache sun shadows, disabled. Particle lighting, low. DirectX ray tracing, disabled. I feel like I had this enabled, actually. I can't remember now. I'm not actually sure. I'll check that again. Ambient occlusion, we do want disabled, and screen space reflection, we want disabled. I feel like that is supposed to be enabled, though. I don't know why I had that off. Okay, depth of field, we want disabled right away. Disabled gets rid of the blur when you aim down. Blur is great, again, for story, you know, when it kind of gives you that in the moment feel. We don't care about that right now. We're not in that mode. We're in where we need to be able to see everything on our screen as much as possible. Filmic strength, we want at 1. World motion blur and weapon motion blur, both disabled. Get them out. We want no blur. Film grain, we want down to 0. We don't want noise. We don't want blur. We don't want any of that. Dynamic resolution, we want disabled, and then so this won't matter because this part only matters if it is enabled. We'll apply. Audio, I like to run boost high. This will matter, this will change quite a bit depending on what type of headset you use and how you have your headset's settings set. But for me, I use SteelSeries headsets, and so boost high tends to work the best for me at the moment. I run my master at 100 and then control it through the headset. Music volume, I have down to 0. I don't want any of that playing. I don't want any outside noise when I'm trying to hear footsteps, gunshots, call-outs, things like that. 0. Dialogue, I have to 75. The only reason I even have it this high instead of all the way down to 0 is because I'm pretty sure you can, maybe not. I was thinking at some point this dialogue volume, you could hear enemy players talk and chatter sometimes. I don't know if that's still the case. It was early on when the game came out. Effects volume, we definitely want at 100. This is your footsteps. This is all of that kind of stuff. Juggernaut music, disabled, enabled, whatever. It's only in the game every once in a while. Hopefully they will quit putting it back in. Hit marker sound effects, I have on Modern Warfare, but I've been playing with that. It's, again, personal preference. None of this should really matter too much for your gameplay. This will be, again, personal preference onto how your mic works and sets. Little tip, if you are starting streaming, disable your war tracks as a passenger. Don't get DCMA'd. On your controller, if you are running controller, and I am, again, a lot of personal preference stuff here. I run default on everything because I don't have a scuff. I do have a scuff, but I don't use a scuff now. I do have an aim controller that has the paddles on the back. And so with that, with the paddles, I run default, and then I have my slide and my jump map to my back paddles. You can also run claw if you want to. If you don't have a paddled controller, I think that is probably the most effective way. There's a very steep learning curve, but if you can teach yourself to do it, super effective way to play, and saves you having to buy a paddled controller. But either way, I run default right now, and we want dead zone. This is going to depend completely on your controller. 0.2 works good for me. You can play with that. It's really only for if you have stick drift. So if you're sitting still and your guy kind of tends to turn on his own, play with your dead zone. That'll help with your stick drift. Sensitivity, again, we will talk about how to decide this in another video specific to sensitivity. Just know that low is not bad. You'll see guys like Mutex and a lot of these pros running 2020 on this. They've worked a long time to get there. Nobody starts at 2020. Do not feel bad. For the first, I don't know, I think I only started raising my sensitivity once Cold War came out. For the whole first part of Warzone, when it was a Modern Warfare game, I was running like 3 or 4 sensitivity tops. I've worked my way up to 8 now, and it's starting to feel comfortable. But just know, don't overdo this. Go slow. If you want to increase it, go 1 at a time, maybe 2 at a time. Shoot against bots, or play plunder. Get used to it. Increase slowly, and you'll be able to do it. If you try to jump up 5, 6 sections here at one time, you're going to be aiming all over the place. You'll quit. You'll give up. So don't do that, and don't rush yourself. Whatever's comfortable, whatever you hit the most shots on, use that. You don't have to play at 2020 to be successful with your sensitivity. There's also this. It's kind of a new school, it feels like to me anyways, thought that the higher sensitivity is better. I remember all of the old, really old Call of Duty videos talking about pros use low sensitivity, pros use low sensitivity. So I think this has changed a little bit in the BR scene. I think they run higher than normal, but even still, don't worry too much if you have to use a low sensitivity. ADS multiplier, I run 0.86, 0.85. Again, a little bit personal preference. This has seemed to work the best for me. Aim response curve type dynamic, and you want to disable your vibration. This took me forever to get used to. I loved having that vibration as a way to tell that I'm getting shot, but if you will force yourself off of this, it'll help a little with your aim, and you don't really need that feedback to tell when you're getting shot. So it takes a little bit. Turn it off. It'll work better, I promise. Aim assist, I run standard. Scale aim assist with FOV, we want that disabled. You want the biggest aim assist that you can get, not the smaller one. You don't want it scaled with your FOV. Disable that. Weapon mount activation to ADS and melee. Weapon mount movement exit enabled. Aim down sight with saber hold. This is all normal stuff here. This is where some things start to change though. Use reload behavior. We want on contextual tap. This will help us in a bunch of different cases, but where it helps us a ton is for slide canceling. We want to have this on and a few other things down here. I'll show you all as well. Depleted ammo, weapon switch enabled, that's fine. Armor plate behavior. This is something for consoles. I don't think this shows up. You can make it show up on console by plugging in a USB keyboard to your console, turning this to apply all, unplugging it, going right back to playing with the controller. Huge help. Apply all. Now, as soon as you start putting a plate on, as soon as you get into the animation, it will try to apply all the plates to full. You can always cancel out of that by YY or whatever your weapon swap button is. But this way, as soon as it gets moving, you can get your thumb back over to do whatever. Or if you're playing claw, you can get that finger back off, and you can start moving around a lot sooner. When it's on apply one, you'll get that thing where you're like halfway into another plate, and then you'll jump and it'll stop putting it on, and then it's just very hectic. This smooths out your movement a ton. Huge help. Okay, on slide behavior, we want it on tap. Auto move forward, we want disabled. Automatic sprint, we want on automatic tactical sprint. Joe Woe has some incredible videos about this where he shows you kind of how to go about learning how to use it. There's a bunch of guys that do, but Joe Woe is kind of the king on movement. Anyways, the automatic tactical sprint will instantly put you into that tac sprint where you raise your gun. You can then use this to slide cancel, to where you just always, you'll slide, you'll come out of it, back to tac sprint instantly. That way you can move so much faster around the map. Now, if you are working on a new sensitivity and you have never had automatic tactical sprint and you turn both of those on into a higher sensitivity, it is going to feel like you have zero control. So when you go to automatic tactical sprint, know that you might need to turn your sensitivity down for a day or two until you get used to it. I absolutely had to on mine. It felt like I was just all over the place. So keep your automatic tactical sprint on, take some time to get used to it. Vehicle camera recenter, I want that disabled. That way, when you're driving, you want to have complete control on where you're looking. If not, it's going to keep recentering you every time you try to look at something. So disable that. Also, disable your parachute auto deploy. If you're ever AFK, this is going to get you killed. Other than that, it's going to let you land way closer to the ground, and you won't get stuck there where you're hanging in your chute 2 feet above the ceiling and then someone else is already on the ground grabbing a gun. This is a massive help for when you're in fights, especially if you land hot. Big deal there. Make sure you turn that off. I think that pretty much covers everything on the end game. I am going to show you my NVIDIA settings here. So to get to this, if you are on PC, you want to hit Alt and then Z to bring up your GeForce experience. You want to go to Game Filter. And then these are, you can set a bunch of different styles here. I think, yeah, that's, let me get out of this for a second. Hold on. Okay, so this is the game with no filter. This is the game with my filters. It doesn't show a lot on this main screen. In game, it makes a pretty massive difference. So I'll just show you what they are. You want to put them in on this order. Color, tint color 0, tint intensity 0, temperature -10, vibrance 72. You can just pause this to get these numbers as well. Sharpen, we want sharpen 75%, ignore film grain 0%. Brightness and contrast, we want exposure at 0, contrast at 55%, highlights at -90, same with shadows, -90, gamma at 0. And then on details, we want sharpen at 75%, clarity at 71, HDR toning at 17, and bloom at 3. And I got these settings from Iron. One of the, it's either between him and OP Mark over which one has the most kills in Warzone. They kind of go back and forth. But I got those settings from him. I loved them. The game looks insanely clear when you put those on in this filter. I can turn that off now. Great settings there. It'll really change. It looks like a completely different game when you set that up. That's pretty much all you need on your settings. There's not a lot else you need to do. Again, in this series, we'll go over a lot of things, more tactical related, more gameplay related, how to actually get better at the game. But I wanted everyone to have a very firm base, so we're all starting off on the same page and know kind of where to go from here. Also, just wanted to get everyone started on the series, and hopefully we'll see if there's a lot of interest in this. Then obviously we'll keep it going as long as we can. Thanks for watching the video. Really hope you enjoy it, and just remember to have fun when you're out there in this mind-numbingly enraging game. Have fun, get out there, get you some dubs. Just remember, we're all gonna make it. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.